Well, the Kingdom of Eswatini, formerly named Swaziland, was officially renamed in 2018. It is a landlocked country in the south of Africa. It is bordered by Mozambique to its northeast and South Africa to its northwest, south, and southeast. Today, as they celebrate their independence, News Central's Bettina Nwelih tells us more about their economy.
Eswatini's economy is diverse, with agriculture, forestry, and mining accounting for about 13% of GDP, manufacturing, textiles, and sugar-related processing representing 37% of GDP and services, with government services in the lead, constituting 50% of the GDP. Title deed lands, where the bulk of high-value crops are grown, are characterized by high levels of investment and irrigation and high productivity. About 75% of the population is employed in subsistence agriculture upon Swazi nation land. The cultivation of sugarcane is the country's main resource. The economy of the country is very closely linked to the economy of South Africa, from which it receives over 90% of its imports and to which it sends about 70% of its exports. Eswatini firms are among the most productive in sub-Saharan Africa, although they are less productive than firms in the most productive middle-income countries in the other regions. They compare more favorably with firms from lower middle-income countries, but are hampered by inadequate governance arrangements and infrastructure. The country's currency, the lilangeni, is pegged to the South African rand, subsuming its monetary policy to South Africa. Customs duties from the Southern African Customs Union and worker remittances from South Africa substantially supplement domestically earned income. Eswatini is not poor enough to merit an IMF program. However, the country is struggling to reduce the size of the civil service and control costs at public enterprises. The government is trying to improve the atmosphere for foreign direct investment. An economic circle of 15,000 businessmen takes most of the country's wealth. The circle includes South African investors who have come to Eswatini to find a workforce that is 3 times cheaper, and a group of white businessmen who are heirs to the British settlers. King Mswati III receives 8% of the national budget for official expenses. The police force receives 5% of the budget, as do the armed forces. Happy Independence Day, the Kingdom of Eswatini. Bettina Nwelih, reporting for News Central.
Well, human rights activist Sydney Maseko joins me from Eswatini. Good to see you and happy independence. It's been 54 years since independence from Britain. Now let's start by taking a look at Eswatini's development in terms of economic growth, considering that the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Human Rights Affairs put the country's poverty rate at 63% and unemployment rate at 41%. Well, I'm afraid looks like we lost the connection, so we'll move on to other stories. Can you hear me? Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can.
I thought I lost you for a bit. Good to know you're back.
Yeah, good evening, Sulaiman and your viewers at home. Yes, our country was having its independence today. As you correctly said, we've been having over 60% of our population lives below the poverty line. So, but everything is linked to the king and how the country is governed, because independence without the freedom and the rights and equal justice is as good as nothing. As the king in 1973, he decreed that the independence constitution must no longer function in Swaziland, because he felt that the powers must be vested in him. And then ever since we have been trying to speak with the king, and up to this far there has been no change, and people are killing each other. With regards to the economy, I have seen from the clip that you shared earlier, you will see there's sugar cane there. It's correct. It's one of the main exports for Swaziland, but the king controls that. He controls everything. Every foreign investor has to be in partnership with the king. So we are totally excluded from the economy in Swaziland.
Sydney, let me jump in here. What's the conversation between the people and the king at this moment? Because we know that some have started asking the king to consider putting the country in a democracy. Tell us more about that.
Okay. Just immediately, I would like to inform everyone that last week there was two members of the correctional services, which is part of the armed forces. They defected from the king. They defected with guns and ammunition. We don't know where they are, but they recorded the video. They said they want democracy in the country, and then they are leaving. In the past 12 months since 6 September last year, there's been over 20 there's been over 20 members of the security forces, including police and the army, that have been killed by unknown people. The unknown people, they claim they want democracy. So there's been cases, increasing cases of arson. The security situation in Swaziland has really gone down, such that you find that nobody is safe, because the king is refusing to have dialogue. Instead, he's saying he's not going to have dialogue with. He views the people as dark as smokers. He's saying everyone who is challenging him is a darker smoker. He's got the majority of the people. But the situation on the ground, he's losing it, because if he's losing the security forces, people are defecting, then he's already lost the power.
I'm afraid I'd like to thank you for your time. Apologies for cutting you there, Sydney. We're out of time. Sydney, Maseko, many thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.